I will let you take it from here.
Perfect. Thanks, Jill. Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate that. All right, just one moment, guys. Let me make sure my screen shares out here. Okay, is that showing up okay for everybody?
We can see it perfectly.
Okay, so my name's Kyle Coons. I've got Corey Cohen on the line with me as well. We are both customer success technical program managers, work with Jill and Stephanie. We tend to build out what we call our OnCommand Insight deployment and utilization assessment. So it's the topic of the day. Want to make sure you guys understand what these assessments are, kind of why they exist, why we're doing them anyways, and encouraging all of our customers to take advantage of them. I want to spend a little bit of time and run through what the assessment actually covers. So I have some good detail in there. I do have some example slides from some other customers I've done this with. But the thing to really note with these is you're going to see the most value when you schedule one with us, and I review your guys' data with you and make the recommendations directly back. Really, I think that's where you're going to see the full value of these deployment utilization assessments. We're also going to spend a minute talking about the prerequisites and really just how to get us engaged and get started and get one of these going. So I always want to make sure this is interactive. If you guys do have any questions as I'm going through this, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. Honestly, should only take about 10 minutes, maybe 15 if there's some questions. So let me know if I'm missing anything here. Now, real quick, I want to give an introduction for OnCommand Insight in case there's any of you on the line that are not using it today. Maybe you're new to it as far as administrating it, using it, or maybe you come from some of our other cloud data services products such as Cloud Volumes ONTAP. So typically, most of our OCI customers are buying OCI for one of these three reasons. Intelligent operations is one of the first and foremost, right? It gives you the ability to go in and really discover and monitor all of the assets in your environment end to end, see how they're interacting with each other, how they're impacting each other. And if we're seeing, say, performance issues, it helps us to dig down into the root cause issue of that performance concern instead of looking at, say, just the symptoms. A lot of customers are buying this for additional business insights, the ability to see where everything is being used, make better decisions on, say, accurate workload placement, predicting what sort of growth you're going to have so you can accurately plan how much capacity you need to bring in, when you need to bring it in, basically being able to justify what's in your environment today with, say, showback, chargeback reports, and having that one centralized view of your entire environment. Last but not least, we have a lot of customers that are using this for really an IT ecosystem integration tool in combination with the other two, where essentially they're using this to integrate with existing CMDB billing and finance tools, help desk ticketing, and full automation as the piece to tie it all together and put this information available at your fingertips through one portal or through the reporting, or taking advantage of, say, our open APIs to integrate this with other devices in the environment. So typically customers are buying it for one of these reasons, if not all three combined, and they might be finding value in some of these or all of these, or you might not feel like you're finding the full value in any way, shape, or form. We want to make sure you guys are finding that full value. So challenges today, this is kind of some trends that I'm seeing whenever I look into a customer's environment. Whenever they ask me, hey, how do I get the best out of this? So we'll go in and we'll look, and typically I'm seeing a lot of these trends. First up is large gaps in device coverage. So if you went out and you bought OnCommand Insight to see end-to-end visibility of your environment and how these devices are impacting each other, you can imagine if you have, say, 25% of your environment missing or unidentified, we are now missing that data, right? We can't see how that 1/4 of your environment is impacting the rest of your environment. So that's going to take away from the value right there. Failing data sources. This is something I see a lot of. And basically, anytime you guys have a data source that is not working, you're missing data. So if you're running reports that you're giving to your executives, or you have operational dashboards that you're using to, say, monitor the state of your environment, and you're missing data, you might be missing something critical that's happening, or your executives might not be aware of what should be in the report that's not showing up. So really important. Okay. Another trend I see is a lot of customers that have OCI running, and it's running well, but they aren't getting notified about the events that they really should be notified about. So in a lot of cases, that's lack of notifications, where critical events are happening in the environment, and for some reason, someone is not being notified. Maybe it's because they haven't set up the notifications. Maybe the policies haven't been dialed in. On the flip side, I also see some customers with too many notifications where really it turns into a bunch of noise. They're getting alerted all day, every day, and because of it, they're missing critical events. Okay. I also tend to see some customers with a lack of business context or lack of business impact capabilities. So they're not really sure, right? You might be able to see a performance issue with the device, but in a lot of cases, they're not sure exactly which organizations, departments, projects, tenants, or any of these things are being impacted by this performance issue. Another challenge I'm seeing is resource contention issues. This one's really important today because many of you who use OCI today are aware we upgraded to 7.3.3 late June, and basically any of you that run a 7.2 instance of OnCommand Insight are probably aware when we went up to 7.3, we changed from holding 7 days of operational data all the way out to 90 days of operational data. And what this means is on the back end, we require more resources. It's one of the few major upgrades that actually require additional resources. But I know of a lot of customers that have gone out and made the upgrade to take advantage of the features and unfortunately didn't get a chance to work with their NetApp solutions engineer or work with their customer success team, such as myself, to see if any sizing changes needed to be made. And what that results in is resource contention issues where things aren't working like they should. They're throwing red flags, causing support cases. So I see a lot of that. Also low adoption of beneficial features like anomaly detection. I see a lot of cases where customers could be benefiting greatly from a couple of additional features that they're not using. So it's, I think, important to find those and be able to call those out. And then last but not least, out-of-state deployments. Customers running very old versions that are actually out of support or will be out of support soon, or running very old versions of the components that honestly I would like to see upgraded or updated to be on the latest and greatest for security vulnerabilities, features, reliability, things along these lines. Okay, so the deployment and utilization assessment is really designed to help go in and identify any and all of these potential issues or trends in your environment, trends that are going to impact your organization from basically finding full value in OCI and getting that ROI. So we're going to go through, based on what I find, we're going to go through and make recommendations to help you guys find more success within OCI and ideally realize the full value of your NetApp Cloud Data Services purchase. Every single one of these assessments is going to be compiled and delivered one-on-one by your NetApp customer success team, by guys such as myself. So we're going to go through, we're going to take days, if not many days, to get this built out. And then we typically schedule 1 to 2 hours and we review it in depth with recommendations on everything we've found. Okay, so it is important to note there are many things we are going to look into, but there are a handful of things we are not going to cover in these assessments. So we are always going to look at your current version. We're going to look at your version, service packs, and patches to see if you're running the version you should be on. If there's a patch that might apply to any of your existing devices or a service pack that is going to help you out. Okay, we're going to look at sizing. Make sure your operational server, your data warehouse server, any of your remote acquisition units are all sized correctly so that you don't have any issues with them. We are going to look at your data sources. Look for any sort of failing data sources, any sort of funky things I see, such as missing performance collection, and we're going to make some recommendations on how to resolve these or get the best value out of these. Okay, I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at your device resolution. So where you're going to see how many unidentified devices you have in your environment, whether it's fiber channel or it's IP devices, and we're going to make some recommendations on what you can do there. Excuse me. And then we have some general best practice recommendations that I run through with every single customer. It includes things like business entities, applications, policies, notifications, dashboards, staying protected with backups and auto support. So just some general recommendations that we feel are going to ensure you're getting the best value out of the software. Now, what we're not covering is troubleshooting. Okay, so those of you that have gone out and built custom reports, if you're having problems with these custom reports, just know we're not going to be troubleshooting those reports. That is a whole separate item on its own work effort there, so we will not be doing that as part of the assessment. Now, we're going to make recommendations on using dashboards, queries, and policies, but what this is not is a workshop to sit down for 2 hours and build those all out for you. Okay, we can help you, we can guide you, and we're going to give you a lot of good information on what you can do here, but you are still likely going to need to go back and put in some time on your own to get the full value out of this. So if you have support tickets opened up today, we're not going to be troubleshooting that exact issue. Now, I have found a lot of cases where some support tickets are resolved by simply going through this assessment, because we might identify an issue such as an undersized environment that is causing those issues that you have a case opened up around. So we might be able to iron some of these out, but that is still going to be a case to be worked out with your support representatives. So any sort of integrations you guys have, if you're integrated with ServiceNow, you're using the APIs, just know we're not going to take an in-depth look at that either. It falls a little out of scope, along with any generic SNMP devices that you're capturing information through. Any of you out there on the call that are doing this today will probably understand why that is out of scope. And I will make recommendations on regular expressions, but again, it's not going to be a workshop where we sit down for a couple hours and we build out custom regular expressions to capture your different devices. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, so real quick, I just want to show you guys some example slides. So you got kind of an idea, but again, I just want you guys to know this is going to be unique for every single customer deployment. So what you see here today, I've gone through and scrubbed. There's no customer information, and really it's not going to provide much value to you because it's all fake. So this is an overview slide. Every customer is going to get this. It's basically a lay of the land. So we're going to go through and map out if you are taking advantage of anomaly detection, Ethernet monitoring unit. Do you have a data warehouse server? Do you have multiple operational servers? Do you have, say, a local acquisition unit with remote acquisition units? Are you using only the local one? We're going to have all of that on this overview, so you have a nice executive overview of what's connected and what's operating in that environment. Okay, this is an example of a sizing recommendation for a customer from about 3 weeks ago when I was doing an assessment for them. This is an example of a customer that was running originally 7.2.6, and they upgraded to 7.3.2 to our latest, or what at the time was our latest GA release. And as you can see, these guys were severely undersized. We ran, oh, didn't mean to click that. We ran this assessment because they had done the upgrade and they were seeing some red dots popping up on their health page. They got us looped in, and we ran through this assessment, and you can see the sizing alone could have been a lot of the problems, right? Very, very undersized. So we were able to make these recommendations, and I think as of this week, they made these changes, and everything's operating as it should. So this is an example of a data source overview that you guys might see, right? This particular customer had 14 failing data sources where I've been able to break it down, what's happening with each, as well as 4 different data sources that had performance collection turned off. This customer actually, these 4 different data sources, I think they had somewhere around 150 different devices being covered by these 4 different data sources. So if you can imagine, they weren't even aware that all that performance information was being missed. So we were able to identify that and make some recommendations. And then some of these things up above here, basically what I do is I actually walk through and I take screenshots and I show you the exact detail of why it's failing and what you can do about that failure. I can't show you those things today because unfortunately that's personal data, and we'll save that for when we pull up yours and do an assessment for your infrastructure. Okay, this is an example slide of a device resolution overview for another customer. So you'll see where I've been able to go in and identify, right? This customer had 800 unidentified fiber channel devices. 113 of these were showing as initiators, which to me is saying these are potential physical hosts that we don't even know exist, right? So we've gone through and we made recommendations on how to properly identify these. I actually made recommendations on each and every vendor on the different devices that I could find within these vendors, and then I lay out all the different vendors that we see in the environment that are not identified at the moment. Okay, you'll see the same thing over on the IP side. We're able to show that this customer had over 3,000 devices that they had not identified. Okay, you can imagine when they're trying to realize the full value of OCI, this slide alone is showing they're missing over half of the environment and they're not even aware of it. As far as they're concerned, their data sources were working well. They had no failures. Their reports were running. Their dashboards were operating, so they thought everything was good. As soon as I was able to call this to their attention, they realized how much was missing that they could be capturing today, and we put in a plan of action to get this all resolved. Okay, so before I continue on with kind of next steps, does anyone have questions on what this looks like or what's covered versus what's not covered? And you are on mute, so feel free to take yourself off or put it in chat. Okay, for the sake of time, we'll just continue on. And if you do come up with a question, you can always shoot it back to our team and we'll take care of it at any point in time. So next steps, right? You've got an idea of what this is. Really, I'm going to just highly recommend we do this for every single customer out there. It's going to help you guys better understand if there's anything missing, if there's anything you're not doing that you could be doing. So I want to make sure you guys know how you can get these scheduled and get them set up. Okay, so I would say we've got 3 opportunities for assessments. If you're new to the customer success program, you're getting onboarded into the program, we want to do one of these for every single customer participating in our success program. Always. When we start building out your guys' customer success plan to help you realize that full ROI and get the best utilization out of the software, one of the best places to start is doing an assessment to see what are you doing with the software today, what value are you finding today, and what are your long-term goals, and then we can look at anything that's going to stop you or cause issues and make those recommendations so you guys can get there. Okay, any of you that are looking to upgrade, as you may know, when you go through these upgrades, sometimes there are gotchas, like the 7.2 to 7.3 needs more resources. And if you didn't get a chance to read the release notes and reach out to our team, you may have missed it and went ahead and upgraded anyways and started running into problems. So we want to make sure you guys never have those issues. We can get ahead of them and make sure this is operating as it should all the time. So if you're ever looking to upgrade, even if you're just looking at the possibility, we want you to reach out to our team and just let us know. We'll work with you. We'll run it through the sizing and let you know what the release notes say so you're protected there. And then if you have OCI today and you guys have been participating in the customer success program, you're attending the webinars, just know we want to do an assessment for you as well, right? I know a lot of customers got onboarded before this was something we had rolled out to everyone. So if you haven't participated, you haven't done one of these yet, please let us know. We want to help every one of you guys. At the very least, every single customer who owns OCI should have one of these done on an annual basis. Okay. Now it is free, so what we ask of you, first of all, you need to have auto support enabled. Okay, this is how I go restore the environment, and I go through and I look at what's happening. I look for issues. I look for red flags and utilization. If you don't have auto support turned on, we can help you with that. We've got a webinar on it. We can also hop on a call. It's not an issue. It's pretty straightforward. And if you're in an organization that cannot enable auto support for security reasons, we still want to help you. Reach out to your customer success manager, let them know. We'll have to handle that a little bit differently. Okay, last but not least, you want to get one of these done? What I want you guys to do is just reach out to your customer success manager as early as today. If you guys are ready to get one of these scheduled, reach out to your CSM immediately after this call and tell them, and we can get these things set up. Now, you need to know these take a little bit of time. I'm going to be going through every corner of the environment, looking to make sure we offer you every recommendation possible to see the full value. So some of these end up taking a little bit longer. We need a little bit of time to prep before the review. Usually, I would plan on a couple weeks. 2 weeks at the most should give us the right amount of time to get the data, start building out the assessment, put it into a PowerPoint, and then hop on a call and review it with you guys. Typically, we need an hour-long block for review, and you need access to a WebEx so you can see what I'm walking through. Some environments may bleed over a little bit longer. I've seen upwards of an hour and a half. So the last ask that I have of you guys is make sure there's an executive sponsor involved and all relevant OCI users, administrators, because this is for your organization. And the assessment's jumping into so many different things. Everyone's going to find a little bit of value and be able to make some decisions on how to best address these things moving forward to get them taken care of or make the changes to find the value. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Now, with that all being said, are there any questions? Not seeing anything in chat, and everyone is still on mute. Okay, well, I'll take that as no questions. I want to thank you guys for your time. Let me present on the assessments here today, and I encourage every one of you, please take advantage of this. It's free. There's really not much you got to do on your end, right? Just make sure auto support's on and set aside a 1 hour block where we can review this. I assure you, you guys are going to find the value. We have not had one piece of negative feedback on these yet, so I really want to make sure all you guys have one of these set up. So please reach out to your customer success manager, get one scheduled today, and I look forward to working with you guys. Thank you so much. Joy?